Yeah, Mew 3 Mally was in the top 8. Yeah, we talked about that last night, actually. So I have that on the tier list, too. Okay. Here we go. So these are the tier lists. These are the tier definitions. This is how we will be defining the tiers tonight. So, Tier S, BDIF potential. The meta centralizes around this or these decks. It's expected to be in top 8, the finals, or win major events, and it's hard to counter. The example of Tier S is ADP Z in Ultra Prism through Sword and Shield meta, when ADP Z was, like, almost undisputed the best deck in format. Tier 1, good matchup spreads, expected to show up in top 8 of majors. Has previous success or shows strong promise according to credible players. Example, Baby Blounds and Ultra Prism through Rebel Clash. So what I mentioned there, it has previous success or it shows strong promise according to credible players, is because we're talking about a meta which we haven't played in yet, and it's a one-time meta, so we don't have previous success. Technically, we do have Japanese results, though. Tier 2, a step below Tier 1 due to having one or more of the following. Slightly less overall strength than Tier 1, poor matchups to popular decks, poor matchup spread, consistency issues, no prior success, unrefined lists, counterable. Example, Obstagoon and Ultra Prism through Rebel Clash. So Obstagoon and Ultra Prism through Rebel Clash could still be a good meta call. It could still make day 2, it could still top 8. It even won the Hexter Invitational, which was a smaller invitational event, which was a little bit easier to meta call and counter, but it doesn't have the consistency, the credibility, the meta influence like the Tier S and Tier 1 might have. Tier 3 decks, more than one of the following. It's less powerful than the upper meta decks, may have consistency issues, poor matchup spreads, lack of speed, countered by typical meta cards, unrefined list, overly meta dependent. A Tier 3 deck may have one very good matchup against a Tier 1 S deck, but have an otherwise poor matchup spread. So my example for this is Inteleon, VMAX, and Ultra Prism Rebel Clash. It's countered by typical meta cards. It was completely gate-kept out of the game because there was too much lightning. And the lists were fairly unrefined because after a while people gave up on it. We saw things like Colin Maul taking it pretty far in the Players' Cup with that Omastar list, but although it saw some success, it was still a Tier 3 deck in that meta. Tier 4, noticeably weak when paired against most Tier 1 and 2 decks. If you can't answer why would you play this over one of the above decks, then it's in Tier 4. These decks can win games, but don't have many matchups, if any, that they are expected to win. Example, Phalanx in Ultra Prism through Rebel Clash. Phalanx was like the deck that YouTubers played and streamers played, and it was fighting, so maybe sometimes you would beat things that are weak to fighting, but there wasn't really a reason to play it over other decks, which is why top-level players didn't pilot it to tournaments, and it never saw success. So that's how we will be defining the tiers and placing the decks into tiers tonight. You can, if you're in the chat right now watching this live, you can type exclamation tiers if you want to bring this up on your own device, so you can have it for reference while we're doing the tier list. And let's see. Might have just been fine like that. And if you're watching on YouTube, I will put a link to that. Yo, Trainer Tips, what's up? Yeah, this is fun to do. I'm glad I'm doing it as well. Okay, so I think we're ready to do this. Let's start with some of the ones that I think are generally agreed upon to be at the higher echelon of decks. And maybe about halfway through, we'll just take a look and see if everything in relative looks correct. Played you in the Sunday Open. My name is Cyclone. I was playing Vikavolt Sleeplock. Oh, hey, what's up, Racemon? I'm not sure if I remember your name, but very cool that we played. Yeah, so let's start with Eternatus. Straight Eternatus. So I think we can agree that Eternatus is probably going to fall into one of the top tiers. So if we look at tier S, it has BDIF potential. The meta centralizes around these or this deck. Expected to be in top 8 finals, win major events. Hard to counter. So the thing I think keeping it from being in tier S is that it's hard to counter. It has a few counters. It has Beloved Bryson Man. It has Energy Denial because a lot of the decks are not running anything to circumvent Energy Denial. Gallerian Wheezing is a counter. Even Yveltal GX Doom Count can be like a generalized VMAX counter since it takes out 3 prize Pokemon in one hit. Is the meta centralizing around it? I think people are keeping it in mind, but it's not the only deck they're keeping in mind. And then we have tier 1, good matchup spreads expected to show up in top 8, has strong promise according to credible players. Would anyone be opposed to me saying that it's either tier S or tier 1? I think it's either one of these. I think that's safe to say. So, let's do this. We're gonna start a poll. And, go ahead and vote. Yo, what's up, Jay Mershon? Glad to see you here. Is this a tier list for Pog format? It is, Ebowie. If you're in the chat, you can drop down the poll and vote for if you think it's tier 1 or tier S. You cannot vote with channel points or bits to rig the poll. This is true. Okay, so it's looking like it's going to be pretty heavily in favor for throwing Eternatus into tier 1. We have 19 votes. We have 20 votes for tier 1 and 2 votes for tier S. So, I think we're going to... I'll let the poll run its course. It has like 5 seconds left. But yeah, make sure everybody gets to vote in that. It's at the top of the chat. Okay, so yeah. Tier 1 wins. 21 people voted that it's a tier 1 deck. So we will be putting it in tier 1. Does everyone like this system? I think this is a pretty good way to do this and let everybody have their say in it. Of course, there will be more viewers around for some decks and less for others, but I think this is a good way to do it. Okay, cool. Thank you for the feedback. Let me fix the chat just a little bit here. Realize it's being cut off. The system is tier S. I'm glad. Okay. There we go. Okay, so next deck. Let's talk about Centiskorch. Centiskorch VMAX, remember we are talking about pre-rotation. Centiskorch VMAX, what is the tier? Can we say that it's either, it's somewhere tier 2 or above? Probably somewhere tier 2 or above, because I don't want to exclude if people think it's lower. You know what, we'll just put them all in. We'll start a poll. Centiskorch VMAX S 1 2 3 4. Start poll and go ahead. So while y'all are voting, I'll just talk about this. So Centiskorch I think falls somewhere between tier 1 and tier 2. Yeah, we can discuss the system. So tier 1, good matchup spreads expected to show up in top 8 of majors, previous success or strong promise according to credible players. I'm not sure it has these, to be honest. It did top 16 the Pokemon Japan Nationals online, but I'm not sure it's expected to show up in top 8. I feel like it doesn't have a strong promise according to everyone. And tier 2, a step below tier 1 due to having one or more of the following: slightly less strength, poor matchup spread, consistency issues, no prior success, unrefined list counterables. I think I would put it in tier, if we had a tier 1.5, I think that's where I would put it. but we don't have a tier 1.5. Chat says we're going to put it in tier 1, so we're going to put it in tier 1. Following the tier list being completed, we can also talk about ordering the decks within the tiers if we even want to do that. A lot of people have said that they don't really want to have a tier 1.5 because like it's kind of arbitrary, and I do tend to agree. So we could just order decks within the tiers. So we can have, so the votes were pretty close. Where are the votes? So let's see. We had 16 people say it was tier 1, 9% say tier 2. So it's not like tier 1 by a large margin with the votes. So the votes don't help as much as it did with Eternatus, where we had like, I think 95% of the people in chat say it was tier 1 and not tier S. So it wasn't as much of a unanimous decision. So if you think that Centiskorch is not tier 1, feel free to voice your opinions in the chat and let's talk about it. If you think it is tier 1 and it's rightfully so, it is where it should be, then we're good. But yeah, if you think it should not be in tier 1, then let me know why. And then we'll move on to the next archetype. Or the next variant, or the next deck. Do you think more players will play Centiskorch VMAX or Eternatus VMAX? I think Centiskorch will be more popular because it's cheaper to play. And we can see that even with the Pokex tournament, and I believe with the Sunday Open there were more Centiskorch in both of them, if I'm not mistaken. Eternatus is miles better in pre-row. Blacephalon is a better welder deck. I think it loses to a knockout on late reset stamp. It should be where Firebox always has been in previous tier lists. Okay, so I'm already seeing why maybe we need a tier 1.5, to be honest. Because I feel like this could go in 1.5. Alright, I'm breaking the rules. 1.5 isn't getting a definition, it's just going to be ones that we can't decide on. Okay. Wait, I added two. Oh, okay. Here we go. I'm messing this up. We will get back to our scheduled programming in just a second. Okay. Is this better? No, it's not. We can't decide how good or bad this deck is. It's we can't decide if this is in tier 1 or tier 2. So, if we're going by these definitions, that definition makes it tier 2 IMO. If we can't put it in tier 1, I think it goes to tier 2. You know what? Yeah, we're already going back on this. Because if we can't put it in tier 1, then it should be tier 2, and I can't put it in tier 1. Yeah, okay. Thank you for being voices of reason, chat. So I think by the qualitative responses in chat, those are going to outweigh the quantitative results of the poll. Top of tier 2, yeah. I think tier 2 sounds fine. I think it has, like, here's how I think of Centiskorch. I think it has a lot of close matchups, like, even to slightly favorable, but it doesn't have a lot of, like, insane matchups. Okay, so next one. Let's go to Pikarom. Pikarom is next. What do we think of the Peak? It won the Sunday Open. Now, of course, the Sunday Open doesn't hold a lot of prestige. It is like a casual-ish deck, casual-ish tournament, but it is a pretty good testing grounds. There were new decks being played, a lot of Vikavolt. Pablo Meza got 5th. He bubbled out of top 4 with Vikavolt. Okay, I'm seeing 2s and 3s. Yeah, it did go 12-0. It beat 5 ADPZs in a row. I think the person beat like 7 or 8 ADPZs out of those 12 rounds. So it didn't play against a ton of new decks. It played against like 2 Centiskorch, a Vikavolt, and another new deck though. So like the results are screwed. We have to think about that. So I think we're gonna decide between tier 1 and 2 for Pika. And I think it's going to end up being tier 2, but I will just do this for the sake of making sure everybody gets to voice their opinion. The day 1 Pog meta is going to be like all ADPZ. How much does that factor in? It could be a factor. I mean, if people think people are going to play Pikachu, then maybe ADPZ doesn't get played as much. You know, like, the ADPZs could all decide, well, you know what, I think Baby Blounds is a better deck. And then the, you know, the share changes a little. Yo, what's up, RMA? Thank you. Glad you're here. Vika can also screw Pika a bit. It can. I tested Pika a lot leading up to the PTCGO release of Darkness Ablaze. It says, or credible players think it's good. Yeah, but that's exactly why it shouldn't be tier 1. Because, not enough credible players agree that it's a tier 1 deck. Like, I am remiss to put it in tier 1. I think Centiskorch can top 8 an event, and tier 2 decks can top 8, tier 3 decks can top 8, you know? But, like, I don't expect it, I also don't think it has a great matchup spread either. I think its matchup spread is, like, average. I also agree with what Gassy said. Okay, so this was for Pika. The Pika votes pretty unanimous that it's tier 2. Yo, what's up, Lucas? Thank you for the host. Okay, so Peak is tier 2. Awesome. Here's a big one. Dragapult. Now let's talk about this one for a little bit. So, I think everybody's going to be torn on Dragapult VMAX. So, Dragapult VMAX has a pretty bad Eternatus matchup, but I say this like every time a new set comes out. It's very rare that a deck will fall from tier S or tier 1 like all the way out of the meta. Even if something comes into it that counters, the deck usually sticks around. I think Dragapult fits that. You know, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Dragapult, I believe, is still a good deck. It has a terrible matchup to Eternatus, a pretty poor matchup to Melmetal. Close ones to Vika variants. Iffy a little versus Senti, but it's completely winnable. Yeah, exactly, Gassy. No way can it fall from BDIF contention to tier 3. So I'm going to do one for Draga. I don't think anybody's going to vote Draga's tier S. If anybody, you can tell me in the chat if you were going to vote its tier S, but I'm pretty sure nobody is. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, and 4. So tier S has to have BDIF potential. The meta centralizes around it. It's expected to win major events, and it's hard to counter. We agreed, as most of us agreed, that Eternatus is nowhere near as hard to counter as ADPZ was in UPR through Sword and Shield. The meta is centralized around multiple decks. You're not only worried about the Eternatus matchup, and the Eternatus matchup isn't causing the entire meta to change. In the opinion of the people in chat, I think. But I don't think we have a Tier S deck. I have Tier S here just to satisfy the people who want Tier S, but I don't really think we have one. Okay, looks like we're going to put Draga in Tier 2, and I think that is good. I like Draga Tier 2. Like, the example here is here for a reason. Stunfisk is Tier 0 and you know it. Yeah, so, like, this example is here for a reason. Like, ADPZ and UPR through Sword and Shield was the BDIF. Okay, so yeah, Draga in Tier 2. Sounds good. I almost clicked X on the tier list and we would have had a start, but we're only 4 decks in, so it wouldn't have been that bad. Let's go Baby Blounds next. So, Baby Blacephalon from the Unbroken Bonds Pokemon TCG expansion. What's the dealio with Baby Blacephalon? Tate, you, no matter how much you say Baby Blounds is Tier 4, it won't happen. It has a bad matchup to Veek, yeah, but, like, that doesn't do it. That, you know. Yo, what's up, Wumbo? Tier 2 for consistency issues? Alright, let's see. What's the dealio with Celio? New podcast idea, I get 50%. That sounds like a good idea. I'm down. How long can I make this poll? Ah, it cuts off at expansion. There we go. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 1.5 is 2. That's the answer for tonight. If you can't put it in Tier 1, then it's in Tier 2. Go to the top of the chat to vote. If we are very close between Tier 1 and Tier 2, it's going to come down to qualitative responses from the viewers. Yeah, this one's neck and neck. Noise Crew, think Tier 1 just off of its matchup spread. Yeah, its matchup spread is very good. Like, on paper, it beats a lot of stuff. Tate White Soul of Pokestats definitely voted Tier 3. Okay, so yeah, we had 50% say Tier 1 and 41% say Tier 2, so that's not enough to just do it. But yeah, let's talk about some stuff then about this. So, so like Trainer Tips said, Lay Boy just won PokéX with it. He went 7-0 in the PokéX tournament. He played a Baby Blacephalon list with no new cards in it. He didn't change it from last format and still went 7-0. Lay is just cracked. He could win with a theme deck. Okay, this might also be true. Yo, what's up, McCarthy? Yeah, so, Gassy, so that's a really good point. So, Baby Blacephalon just pounds things that are taking an extra turn to set up. And that could also be why Pikachu won the Sunday Open today, because these lists aren't great yet. But if the other lists aren't great yet and things are winning, then it's still a win, you know? Item lock is so tough and Vika is super common, but like you can't say that a deck isn't tier 1 just because Vika beats it. Like, that's definitely not going to take a deck out of tier 1. Like, 100% does not drop it out of tier 1 just because Vika beats it, usually. And remember, when we say Vika beats it, nothing's like 95-5. Like, it's usually more like a 60-40 or 65-45, or like, the highest I'll ever go is saying something's like a 70-30 matchup. Where would I put Blounds? I would put Blounds in tier 1 because of good matchup spreads, previous success, and shows strong promise according to credible players. Did I say 65-45? Quick math, yeah, guy. Hey, what up, Vince? Mill could actually have a good showing since Dragapult. It's tier 2 all day just for consistency issues, the only reason. I think it's wherever Scorch is. Okay. Chose Baby Blondes for a reason. Are the bans in effect for Pog? No, they aren't. Wouldn't hate Baby Blondes in tier 1. Okay, so I'll admit this one's hard. Like it's very hard to I think Baby Blondes was tier 1 in Rebel Clash standard. Nothing happens to toss it out of tier 1. It does gain a bad matchup in Vika, but Vika is only one of multiple new decks. As RMA says, it's possibly the best single prize deck. Some might argue like Spiritomb or Decidueye, but I think Baby Blondes is. And it gains new good matchups like Eternatus and Centiskorch. And ADPZ being on the rise is generally a favored matchup. Because they don't really tech Finny. So like more 3-prize Pokemon are here. I think I'm gonna go with tier 1. The poll said tier 1, and we did discuss, but I think if we're on a deck for too long, I think I have to just make the final decision, and I do find it hard to say. But yeah, I think Baby Blacephalon is the best single prize deck, and it deserves to be tier 1. Okay. Next, Lucario Melmetal Zacian. I think Lucario Melmetal Zacian is easily a tier 2 deck. Like, I feel like we might not even have to discuss this one. I think we could just toss this into tier 2. Lucario Melmetal did top 16 the Pokemon Japan. Actually, it top 8'd the Pokemon Japan Nationals online. It's favored versus Draga, it's favored versus Eternatus, it's slightly favored versus ADP, it's favored versus Vika. Okay, is anybody unfollowing the channel right now if I put it in tier 2? Who's typing exclamation YouTube unsubbing if I put this in tier 2? If the answer is none of you, then I'm putting it here. Put it low, I'm looking to trade for it. If you add Scizor, it's tier 1. I think Scizor's cool post-rotation. Okay, so this is going to be tier 2. That's cool, I'm glad we could do that. Alright, so for Vikavolt, I'm going to put Vikavolt to the top of the queue over here. I should have 2 Vika pictures. Yes, okay. So I have straight Vika and I have sleepy Vika. Those are the 2 we're going to talk about. Let's talk about straight Vika first. Now this could be with any techs you want, Turbo Patches or Crushing Hammers or whatever stadiums. So let's talk about straight Vika. Straight Vika got first and second at the Pokemon Japan Nationals Online. So a lot of people really liked it for that, but that top 16 was stacked with control decks. It had 6 control/mill decks. It had a Dustox Cryogonal, it had 3 mill, and it had 2 control. And Vika's just really, really good against all of those decks. So you have to remember that top 16 was stacked for it, but it is very good. And in the Japanese meta, those control decks, especially like the weird ones with Delcatty or Dragonite, were a little bit... those tend to be around a little more. So let's go to a poll for this. Manage poll, new poll. Okay. Straight Vik. S, that's A. S, 1, 2. Need a Delcatty control list? Exclamation YouTube. I talked about multiple of them on there. I talked about the ones that were in the Pokemon Japan Nationals Online. I did at least one video on that the results of the top 16 with links to all the lists. I also talked about an invitational that features some really good players like Takuya. And I also have my own Delcatty control list on YouTube. Does Straight Vik have Yellhorn? It could. I've seen people try that. I think Yellhorn's has more potential post rotation. People really do think Vik is S. I think those people are definitely wrong, but people do think it. No offense, of course. We're all here for opinions. Vika Dustox Jolly. Vika loses to VMAX. It doesn't lose to all VMAXs. It's a grind. No one has given me convincing evidence yet that Vika isn't BDIF. Okay, can we have convincing evidence that Vika isn't BDIF? Is the meta centralizing around it? Is it hard to counter? Let's talk about this. If you don't check for item lock, then you are unfavored, RMA. That sounds correct. So people could be thinking it's S tier because they're not playing Birdkeeper and Malolana in their deck, so they're losing to it. Similar to how when Garbodor Trashulance came out, people kept their decks having 30 items and played them all on turn 1, so they lost to Trashulance. Similar to how when Quaking Bunch came out, they were playing aggressive item-based decks and lacking supporters, so they lost to Quaking Punch. It could be like that. Okay, Vince said he meant to hit S, but he hit tier 1. He meant to hit tier 1, but he hit S. Is it tier 0.5? The day that I make a tier 0.5, please report me to Twitch. Okay, so let's see. Is it more likely to be tier S or tier 1? I personally think it's tier 1. I think it has good matchup spreads. I think it's expected to show up in top 8, and that's even iffy because the general consensus of, like, North American players has been that Vika isn't even as good as it sounds. Has previous success. It got first and second at the PJNO, but like I said, that tournament was stacked with control and mill decks. And it shows strong promise according to credible players. It does. Pre-rotation. So I think we're going to put it in tier 1. And I just want to make sure that y'all feel like you have an opinion here. Because I'm making the final opinion if everybody in the chat can't come together to like a 90% agreement. But I also want to do my best to make this a community decision. Yeah, straight Vika, honestly, if more of you thought it, I would be okay with putting it in tier 2, but with the argument between tier 1 and tier S, I'm definitely choosing tier 1. I cannot choose tier S. Like, if everybody in chat said tier 2, I'd be fine throwing it in tier 2. Now, Sleepy Vika, so Sleepy Vika, I think, is tier 1. But some people are telling me Sleepy Vika is, like, absolute garbage. Now, myself personally, testing it, I like Sleepy Vika more. But, I know a lot of people have strong opinions about it. I mean, I thought Spiritomb was good and people had strong opinions about it, so, I mean, and here we are. Spiritomb got first and second at the Limitless Invitational, so. I'm sorry, my fan is making a weird vibrating sound. I'm trying to make it stop. I got distracted. Okay. I think the optimal build is like probably Vika Hammers, right, with max consistency. I think that would be more correct for post-rotation. I think pre, you just want to, like, item lock. Like, hard item lock, and then sleep as well. It might be kind of gimmicky, but unlike most gimmick decks, it actually works consistently. Also, it depends if Vika plays Giant Bomb. Well, Sleepy Vika... Sleepy Vika doesn't play bombs or hammers, because the whole point is your opponent can't attack because they're asleep and item locked. So Giant Bombs are absolutely, like, pointless, because you're not getting hit. Okay, let's try this. Actually, I'm not putting it in S, so I'm not even putting that as an option, because I will not put either of the Vikas in S. That's just my decision. If you don't like it, I guess you can wait till we talk about the next deck. But yeah. But yeah, I don't think we can put it in S. I think it's possible that Pika is tier 1. I think based on popularity, it might have a fair amount of success, but I don't think, like, matchup spread wise and actual power, like, if everybody had all the cards to build, I don't think it would be tier 1, and I also don't think it's tier 1 against the... I don't think it's tier 1 against the expected meta, but I think it could have a good run if it hits the correct decks, like the Sunday Open did, but I don't think it should win the tournament or should, like, be really dominant. Okay, we're just gonna put both Beaks in tier 1. And we'll come back to all of this and see if we have some, like, huge disputes at the end of the tier list for whoever's still around. Okay, now I'm sweating because I turned off the fan, so I'm just gonna have to deal with the noise. I think straight Vika could potentially be tier 2. I will say, though, like, against Eternatus and Centiskorch, the more I played it, and, like, the more focused I am, especially in IRL testing, like, I thought it was, at first it seemed very bad versus Eternatus and Centiskorch, but it's definitely very winnable, especially in my opinion with Raichu Tag Team and Giant Bombs in the straight Vika. So yeah, it's very grindy matchups, but they are good. Okay, let's talk about Kartana. So this is kind of a rogue deck. Now, let's just say that, let's get it out there, we don't have rogue on the tier list. So this Kartana deck, if you don't know about it, I know Gyro Sean has a deck profile on it. I think somebody else might as well. This is, like, so rogue that we're going to have to pull up the card and look at it real quick. So, the plan is you poison with Gallerian Slowbro V, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong if you don't poison with that, or you poison with Garbodor, and then you play Glimwood Tangle to have a second coin flip on False Swipe and just OHKO things. So let's go to the tier list. I think we're looking at definite tier 3 or tier 4 for this. Tier 4 is, why would you play this over one of the above decks? I don't think it can be tier 4 because there's obvious answers to that. These decks can win games but don't have many matchups they're expected to win. That gives me reason to put it in tier 4 though. I think it's between tier 3 and tier 4. So I'm going to let y'all vote on this. Kartana is a card. Tier 3 or tier 4? Where's tier 5? I forgot to put it up. So tier 4 is like, you should not play this deck. And tier 3 is, I could see it working. Like, tier 3 is like Lapras VMAX Frostmoth. Or, or Inteleon, or Toxtricity. But tier 4 is like, there's no reason to play this. Yeah, the energy attachment is awkward. So make sure you vote. The voting is at the top of the chat if you're watching live right now. I just found out that I can vote in these as well. I didn't realize that I could vote. Okay, so we have 65% people voting for 4. What is 4? Tier 4 is noticeably weak when paired against most tier 1 and tier 2 decks. If you can't answer why would you play this over one of the above decks, then it's in tier 4. These decks can win games but don't have many matchups. If any, they are expected to win. Exclamation tiers if you want to read all of those. What did Mr. Network vote? Mr. Network voted for... Yo, what's up, Azul GG? The Rat Raid, what's up, everybody? So, listen up, here's the lowdown. We're making a tier list for the POG format tonight. UPR through Darkness Ablaze. Exclamation tiers if you want to see the definitions for the tier list. But since we have like 70 new viewers, I'll go over it real quickly for everybody. And we have already started. What's up, Azul? Thank you for the host, though. So, Tier S, BDIF potential meta centralizes around this or these decks. Expected to be in top 8 finals, win major events. It's hard to counter. And the example is ADPZ in Ultra Prism through Sword and Shield. Tier 1, good matchup spreads expected to show up in top 8. The example is Baby Blounds. Tier 2 is a step below Tier 1. Poor matchups to popular decks, poor matchup spreads, consistency issues, and it's counterable. Tier 3, more than one of the following. It has less powerful than the upper meta decks. It may have consistency issues, poor matchup spreads, lack of speed, countered by typical meta cards. A Tier 3 deck may have one very good matchup against a Tier S deck, but have an otherwise poor matchup spread. An example is Inteleon VMAX in the Rebel Clash meta. And then Tier 4 is basically like, why would you play this? Yeah, so exclamation tiers, and let's do that vote again. So we're talking about Kartana because people did request I put this on the tier list for the POG format. So basically, this is paired with Glimwood Tangle and Gallerian Slowbro V or Garbodor. So let's do the vote one more time. Remember, Naganadel GX exists. Noted by On Guard. Tier 3 or Tier 4. What do you think Kartana .deck is? Chat. Hope you had a good stream, Azul. So we're trying this one more time at the request of the chat. I vote Tier 4. Chat thinks that if we have more people in here, more people will vote Tier 3. but it is going the opposite way. I think Kartana is, yeah, if you're voting tier 3 for Kartana, you better get in there and vote real quick, because this is going downhill for Kartana. Yeah, I don't see any reason for this card to be in tier 3. Now that we have all the good players from Azul's channel, we can get accurate results. This is true. Azul does have more skillful viewers. I've taken a poll on that. It does sound like a fun deck, but it's in tier 4. What should we do next? Okay, Eternatus with the Weavile GX stuff. Darkrai Prism, scoop up nets maybe, that kind of thing. So yeah, Eternatus, that also note that this was the kind of Eternatus that was in the top 16 of the Pokemon Japan's Nationals Online. So yeah, Eternatus VMAX with Weavile GX. We have straight Eternatus VMAX in tier 1. So the thought is that you would play this over the other to circumvent energy denial. But then you have more text and more clunk. So, and if you haven't seen the tier definitions, exclamation tiers, and you can see that. So we're voting for Eternatus with Weavile GX. I'll tell you what I voted after y'all are done voting, so I do not cause bias. The diff says that this version is better than the other. People confirmed haven't played this version. Okay, we have chat, like, unanimously putting it in tier 2. And I also put it in tier 2, I'll just say, since there's like 5 seconds left to vote. And make sure you're participating in these votes to get your opinions out there. So 63% put it in tier 2. Yeah, so here's what I feel about this, and we can talk about it. If you have qualitative responses to give, go ahead. Where do you go to get the Japanese Nationals list? I covered it all on my YouTube channel, exclamation YouTube. It was about 2 or 3 weeks ago, but I have all the links to the spreadsheets with the decks and everything in that video. You should be able to find it pretty easily. And if you're not already subscribed on YouTube, exclamation YouTube, I upload every day. So, yeah. I think... Let me give you my thoughts on Eternatus VMAX with Weavile, and then we can talk about it. I think with the Weavile GX version, you are trying to circumvent energy denial, such as Yell Grunt, or Baba, or Crushing Hammer, or the Tina that gets rid of a special energy. So you're trying to circumvent that. So you're doing something that doesn't help versus things that... Or it helps to a lesser extent. You're doing something to circumvent things that decks may be playing. And even if they are playing, it's not guaranteed to even affect you. You can play straight Eternatus VMAX and not even be affected by Crushing Hammers, because they don't get them till later. Additionally, you get hella more Zigzagoon and Crobat procs thanks to Devo Z and Ordinary Rod. Okay, so in this version, you're playing Evolution Spray Z, so you can devolve your Eternatus VMAX, clear your board, re-evolve it, and put down more Zigzagoons. But it just feels less consistent, right? Because you're playing like an extra stage 1 line, you're playing Devo Zs, you're playing... It feels like it has better... I think its matchup spread is probably a little more close together. Like, it has more 55s and 45s rather than 60s and 40s. You clear the Weavile into Water Sneasel. Okay. You can devolve Weave into Water Sneeze to deactivate Eternal Zone. I think it's just less consistent. Like, I don't think it's terrible. That's why I voted tier 2. But does it... So this is what we're going off of tonight. Yeah, the top 16 list did not play Devo Spray, but that doesn't mean that the top 16 list was correct. Like, we can't just go to a top... we can't just go look at a Japanese list and be like, oh, well, this is how they played it, so this is the best way. Because that's not how it goes. But I do think it's less consistent, and I'm personally putting it in tier 2. We're gonna have to duke this out on tabletop. We might have to. We might have to at a later date. Let's talk about ADP Zacian next. Where is that? That little ditty. So, can't net deck Japan, don't tell it to Tag Call Vika players. Tag Call Vika is super, super consistent. Okay, so ADP Zacian. I'll start the vote. I think I know where it'll end up being, but I will start the vote for it. If you are voting, make sure that you have read the tier definitions before you vote. The problem I'm having is watching so many people test regular turns as VMAX. It also feels like a tier 2 deck. How did Pika win Sunday Open? It played against like 6 or 7 ADPZs. And people don't have great lists yet, and people like me through. What's up, Igor? I remember these are the tier definitions if you need reference. If you're voting, just go to the top of the chat and you can vote. Oh my goodness gracious. The chat is on something else tonight. Okay, the voting has ended and tier 1 won by like a couple percent. I did not think this many people would say that ADPZ is tier S. Yeah, so do we think remember, this is pre-rotation. This is pre-rotation, by the way. Gassy, by the way, I'm gonna mod you real quick. Don't do anything stupid. So tier S, I'm sorry. Tier S, BDIF potential meta centralizes around this deck, expected to be top 8 finals when major events hard to counter. So, honestly, I see where chat is coming from. ADPZ can kind of beat anything. So, the people saying tier 1 for ADPZ. So, give me your arguments. We're going to qualitative responses for Arceus, Dialga, Palkia, Zacian. What makes it tier 1? Or another question is, let's look at the decks we have in tier 1. Is ADP-Z, like, worlds better than these decks? Yeah, ADP-Z, I think, has an unfavorable... I think it has an unfavorable Eternatus, it has an unfavorable Baby Blondes, it has an unfavorable Draga. So many people say that it has a favorable Eternatus, because they're like, oh, you just go boss, you go Gust Kill, And I'm like, okay, but how often can you do that after they bop your Eternatus? And they say the same thing about Centiskorch. Like, oh, you just go Gust Kill, Gust Kill. Okay, what about when they bop your ADP right after Altered and you have to have 3 energy, 3 energy? You play Hoopa to kill a bat? I mean, you could also just play Mawile GX to kill a bat. It's hard to counter and it has a plan to beat things. I do agree with that. Yo, what's up? Real Sunny Games with a rate of 46? What are you doing with half a Twitch in your stream, Sunny? What's up, man? Thank you for the host. So, yeah. Where are the arguments for it being in Tier 1? Again, I don't want to spend too much time... yeah, and also remember, this is for pre-rotation. This is for POG format. Now, I don't want to spend too much time on any one deck, so I will just make the final decision when I have to. But I'm fine with it being in Tier 1, because I don't think it's... I don't see how you can say ADP Z just beats Eternatus, it beats Centiskorch, it beats Dragapult, because those things aren't true. It doesn't just beat those decks. Yeah, I plan on not having a Tier 1, but I have it there for if someone convinces me. Gassy is correct. It's Tier 1 because decks can naturally beat it. It's not overwhelming to the point it was in SSH. Gassy is correct. Gassy, you get a gold star. Are you considering post-rotation? Not at all. This tier list has nothing to do with post-rotation. Post-rotation does not even exist in our minds right now. And now you just need 68 more gold stars. Okay, so that's where we're leaving that. Let's go to Mill. Now, we're going to talk about Mill and Control separately, but I feel like they'll... What does post-rotation mean? So, post-rotation is when standard format rotates. So that will be all sets team up and after. It was a joke. Okay, well, some people might have actually not known Caden, so I'm glad you asked. So now that's clear. So let's talk about Mill. This could be... all mills put together, just put the best one in your head as the variant we're talking about. Dragonite Mill, Cincinno Mill, Delcatty Mill, Magcargo Mill, Toxtricity Mill, which is probably like tier Monka yikes, but yeah, let's talk about Mill. Let's talk about Mill, baby. Mill slept on. Yeah, I've worked with it a bit, and it's definitely good. It definitely wins games. It's favored versus Blacephalon. It's favored versus Eternatus. It's not favored versus Vika. It's favored versus Centiskorch. Loses to Dragapult still. Still does what you expected it to do. So yeah, let's talk about Mill. Well, in terms of the tiers before we vote. So I personally think it's between Tier 1 and Tier 2. I think I could see it being a step below Tier 1, due to having slightly less overall strength than the Tier 1. It has poor matchups to popular decks. It does have poor matchups to Dragapult. It does have a poor matchup to ADP Z. ADP Z is definitely very popular. The poor matchup spread, I don't think it has a poor matchup spread, but I think it's a little iffy. So, I could see it being Tier 2, but I know other people would argue for Tier 1. The diff is correct. Delcatty Mill can have a Channeler tech. So, like, the Japanese lists played 2. But I will say, the Japanese lists played 2 Channelers, and they still lost to Vikavolts. So let's vote. This list looks like there's going to be no S tiers. Hopefully. I mean, a good meta can have no S tiers. That could be a good thing. And we haven't even had a real tournament in this meta, so I don't think there should be an S tier, personally. I think a lot of people prefer that there's no S tier. RCL had no S tiers? It didn't. I agree with Tate. The amount that a deck is played doesn't necessarily correlate with tier. Whenever I do a tier list, I purposely say that. But I have done, like, popularity tiers in articles. Like, I think this deck is going to be 20%, but it's a tier 2.5 or 3 deck, or whatever you want to call it. Peak was S in RCL? No. I think tier 1 in RCL was Blound's Draga Peak, and then tier 2 was, like, ADP Z and Spiritomb. Blound's had an S matchup spread on paper, but it wasn't. No, actually it didn't even have an S matchup spread. No, it didn't. I can't even say that. Okay, Mill had 56% at 2 and 22% at 1. We haven't had a BDIF. We haven't had a BDIF since Sword and Shield, when ADPZ was BDIF. Mill and Control are notoriously underrepresented because of a stigma. Yeah, not even just a stigma, because they're usually higher skill level, so less players naturally play them. So we're gonna put Mill in 2. I'm sorry for my vote. My cousin took my phone. Were you the tier S? Okay, let's talk about Oranguru. Let's talk about Oranguru. So I think Oranguru is potentially better than Mill. I'm sorry, not Oranguru, Control. So we're using Oranguru as the control thing. So we're just gonna go, we talked about Mill already, we're just gonna go straight to voting. The deck of 60 Oranguru, no, that's tier SS, that's tier double S. And here's the tier list definitions if anybody needs it. The only reason I'm remiss to put it in tier 1, actually, so yeah, I'm remiss to put it in tier 1 because of Dragapult. You usually don't have answers to Dragapult, or you can. I shouldn't say that. The ones with heavy energy denial, and especially playing Delcatty, can sometimes handle Dragapult. I have not talked to a single person that has a foolproof plan against ADPZ with Control. And also, even with Vika Tex, you can lose to Vika. We're gonna put Control in tier 1. Let's get to something fun here. Let's talk about Combo Zacian. Where can we vote? In chat. At the top of chat, it'll pop up. And you just click a button and you vote. Combo Zacian, I think it's 2. as the curator of this tier list, I would only put it in tier 1 or 2. So those are the only choices. Yeah, so if you don't know how to vote, scroll up to the top of chat and there should be like a little arrow drop-down thingy-ish that you click a dot and then you click vote. Why isn't the vote pay to win? It for my sake it should be, but it's not. 1 vote per customer. Every time I think we're in agreement, every time we're in agreement, just 8 people come out of the woodwork and they're like, nope, click, 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 click. Turbo Patch could make it could give it a boost, but, okay, we had 75% say tier 2. Yeah, Turbo Patch gives it a boost, but then we also have, like, evolution Pokemon actually being played. We'll put it up here for now. So sounds like ADPZ is not good for Pog. Why is ADPZ not good for Pog? Goons is interesting. Alright, let's talk about Obstagoon. Gallerian Obstagoon. So tell me where Gallerian Obstagoon is and why, according to these definitions. So, tier 4, it could not be tier 4, because tier 4 is, why would you play this, or these decks can win games, but they don't have good matchups. But, like, it has obvious auto wins. It autos Baby Blounds, it autos ADPZ, so it could never be 4. Remember the other day you said Phalanx was tier S? I told you that in secret. Gassy did get a sword. Okay, maybe it doesn't auto ADPZ, but actually, no, ADPZ plays Weavile now. Like, that's a more common thing, so it doesn't anymore. I take that back. It's generally favored versus ADPZ, but can definitely lose. I'm just putting Goons in 3 because I don't think there's enough people that think it's tier 2 to even vote. If you think Goons should be higher than tier 3, please state your case or forever hold your silence. So, trainer tips, a little bit off topic, but I will talk on this. So, it doesn't auto-blounce, they make you work for it. So, generally, even if a match is always coming down to one prize, but player A is always beating player B, if player A beats player B 90% of the time, although it always came down to, like, the last turn, one prize to one prize, it's still favored for player A, even if the games are close. Mr. Streamer, I think Goons should be tier S because I beat ADPZ with it. Well, that makes sense. And you have a sword. It does have basically auto-win matchups, but then you have like Pika that's unfavored, you have Dragapult that's weird, Centiskorch that's unfavored, ADPZ that's now playing Weavile more than it ever has, Eternatus that's unfavored. Yeah, I don't think it could be tier 2. So Obstagoon is tier 3. Let's talk about Mad Party next. If anybody needs me to tell you about Mad Party, I can, or like pull up like a YouTube list or something. But yeah, Mad Party, where does it fall on this? Whenever somebody says tier 4, just read this line. Read this line. I'm making this bigger. If you can't answer why would you play this over one of the above decks and it's tier 4, Mad Party has an actual reason to play over other decks. It's a single prize deck, it attacks for 1 energy. Yeah, I can pull up a list, 1 second. Let's go to the tweeter. I believe Mr. Daniel Altavia posted a Mad Party list. Yeah, here we go. So this was like a checkmate Mad Party list with a 1/1 the Ganadel GX. And then Mr. Trainer Chippy also posted one. And this one's just, now this is more my kind of thing. It's just very, very solid, just consistent. So yeah, if you're interested, check out either of those people on Twitter for Mad Party lists. Yeah, 3 for Mad Party. Does anyone have a solid argument to not put it in tier 3? And then we can also talk about Naganadel Mad Party. So yeah, do we just put this here as well? Spoiler, I will have Danny on my meta discussion for Pog tournament, so I'll have him talk a little bit more about Naganadel Mad Party and the potential. Naga worse, but still 3. Yeah. Like I said, if there's no reason to play it over another deck, then it's tier 4. Or if it, like, shouldn't win any games on paper, tier 4. But, yeah. Imagine you Stinger GX against ADP and then they one-hit nag for game. Okay, well, I would hope you aren't doing that. Like, why would you ever Stinger versus ADP? I don't get it. That's a terrible argument. Yeah, we'll just put them both in there. Okay. Stonejourner VMAX. Stonejourner VMAX. I'm gonna say it's either tier 3 or tier 4. Why would you play this over other decks? So yeah, I'll start the poll here. Shout out JW. And yeah, if you want to vote, all the votes are in chat. Just go up to the top, use the arrow thingy. Yeah, I could see argument for it being tier 3. I can't lie. Like, your reason could be, like, tier 3 deck may have one very good matchup against a tier 1 or tier S deck, but have an otherwise poor matchup spread. So, you could just body Eternatus VMAX and body Pikarom and then lose to everything else. But that would be a reason to play it. It could be tier 3. Caden, so I actually have that in the tier 4. These decks can win games, but don't have many matchups that they're expected to win. Personally, I would put it in tier 3 or tier 4, but chat says pretty strongly says tier 4, so we're going to put it in tier 4. Yeah, if you literally miss one attachment with Stonejourner, you lose the game. Okay, since we're on fighting decks, let's talk about Phalanx, and this could also include Takuya Yoneda's Phalanx Coco V deck that he played in that Invitational. Was that Takuya? I hope it was. I talked about that on the YouTube channel if you want to know more about it. But yeah, I think it was either Takuya or Shintaro, and now I am doubting myself. So yeah, Phalanx lists in general, where are we putting them? Is there enough of a reason to play it, to put it in tier 3? Ask yourself that. Like, it does have some matchups. Is there a reason to play over another one? Like, tier 4 is like your friends trying to submit it for the tournament and you're pulling it out of their hands and trying to force them into another deck. That's how bad the deck is. That's what tier 4 should be. So if you think Phalanx is that, then vote tier 4 with all of your heart. But not Excadrill, you're right. I'm meta-manipulating. Subway gameplay has got me. I don't have Excadrill on the tier list. You got me. That's my secret deck. Great. Now everybody knows. Alright, chat says that it's tier 4. Yeah, so I'll give my opinion now. I don't even think Phalanx beats Eternatus, and that's like the reason to play it. It probably beats Vika every time, but I don't even think it beats Eternatus. Okay. Decidueye. Actually, let me answer a question from the chat, and then we'll go to Decidueye. Is Blounds automatically a loss to Vikavolt? Is it worth styling the list around Vika, or just ignore the matchup? I think you take the loss, Equinox. In my opinion, I think you take the loss, and just build your deck to beat the other stuff. Okay, Desi. I think the chat's going to be pretty torn on Desi. Let me see how many variants I have. So we have 2 Desi variants. We have Decidueye Obstagoon because it was requested by multiple people to be on this tier list. And then we have Decidueye. So we'll do straight Decidueye. 1, 2, or 3. I don't think it's 4 or S, so I'm only putting 1, 2, and 3. T-Lackey, so Decidueye Obstagoon made it into top 16 out of 120-something people in the Sunday Open today. That's why. And I've actually seen people playing it on ladder, and like other people post about it. So yeah, there you go. And Eggerel Desi made top 16 of Tag Bolt. That deck was just... that was a trip. ADP Desi. If you're voting for ADP Desi, put it all into straight Desi. That's all in this one. I think ADP Desi, like, you should never play that. You just play straight Desi with Jirachi or Zacian. Yeah, I just said that, Raceman. Okay, we got vote for tier 2 for Desi. Now remember, there are going to be a lot of decks per tier because we're breaking them up by variants, and we have 43 flippin' decks on this tier list. So there are going to be a lot. Okay, Decidueye Obstagoon. I'm just throwing it in tier 3 and saving us the time. It's not tier 4, but it's for sure not tier 2. Like, there, yeah, I can see the reason to play it. But it's probably bad. But that's... I think that's still a tier 3-ish deck. If we were doing Rogue, I would put it in Rogue. But, yeah. So we'll put it in tier 3. Okay. Oh, Trainer Tips was the Obstagoon Decidueye person. So it's... okay, so it's solely a Obstagoon deck. And Decidueye's just there to beat the things that Okay, so it's kind of like Obstagoon. So basically what you're saying is if we put Obstagoon in tier 3, then Decidueye Obstagoon goes there as well. Okay, so yeah, we'll just put it in there. It's in the Sunday Open Discord. !Open. It's also on Twitter if Trainer Tips wants to link his Twitter, or their Twitter. Sorry, I don't know what Trainer Tips goes by. Okay. So, next. Salamence VMAX. So Salamence VMAX, I think, has a lot of potential for post-row, but I don't think you ever play this ever in pre-row. Because of Pika and Vika, Lightning in general. Like, I don't think you can play this in pre-rotation, but it's actually good in post-rotation. So, we're tossing this thing in 3. It's kind of like Inteleon VMAX, so I'm just going to pop Inteleon VMAX in 3 while we're here. Yeah, I've been having a ton of fun. Like, I can't wait to get into the post-rotation stuff in like a week or so. Yeah, I think it's really cool for post-row, but pre-row Lightning's just too strong. And also, thanks for all the follows coming through tonight. I hope y'all are enjoying the stream. I was glad we got Cliff to play your deck. Oh yeah, Stunfisk is insane. Dustox Cryogonal. This top 16, the Pokemon Japan Nationals online. With that being said, I think it's tier 3. Does anyone have an argument for Dustox Cryogonal being any higher? I will pull up the list real quick for the non-believers. Look at that, I'm learning my Japanese. I picked the right one on the first try. Yeah, this is it. Same thing as Sleepy Vika, but more consistent. Yeah. Why would you play Cryo, play Vika? Yeah, I don't know. So yeah, we'll take a vote. !Open for Sunday Open stuff. Voting for Cryogonal Dustox in the chat. Japanese meta is very weird. Okay, so not many people are interested in voting for Cryogonal Dustox, I guess. We have a split between tier 3 and tier 4 right now. Yeah, the vote's in the chat right now if you want to vote for it. Alright, we got tier 4 coming through. Yeah, I'm fine with putting it in tier 4. I think, Jolly made a good point. Like, I think Jolly said it. Like, it sounds like worse Vika Sleepy or worse Vikavolt Dustox. So you should just play that. And that fits with tier 4, so yeah, we'll put it in tier 4. Malamar. So, I'm gonna pull up a list for this real quick. So Alex Szymanski posted a pretty cool Malamar list. While I'm searching for this, y'all can start typing your opinions and screeching in the chat about Malamar while I find this. Let's see, here we go. Oh, I have strong opinions about Malamar. Where's James Arnold when you need him? So, yeah, this is... I haven't gotten to try this yet, but I really should play it. I think this list is so cool. I'm just happy to see somebody putting Rhyperior V in a list, if I'm being honest. So I think I'm gonna put this in tier 3. If anybody has a problem with that, let me know. Next we'll do Unknown. This is all Malamars. All Malamars, except for Mewtwo Malamar, because that's first and foremost a Mewtwo deck. So this does not include Mewtwo Malamar. Mewtwo Malamar is a Mewtwo deck. Yeah, there's a reason to put it higher. I don't have the new cards. Mitch has a good point there. It goes in the Malikek W tier. Alright, next is Spiritomb. This can be Old Tomb, New Tomb, Doom Tomb, whatever tomb you want. We'll do a poll for this one. Any tomb variant at all, vote for your favorite. I'm not putting S and I'm not putting 4 because I know it's not either of those. Just 1, 2, and 3. Shroom Tomb, that's the one I forgot. Old Tomb, New Tomb, Doom Tomb, Shroom Tomb. Dr. Seuss recites the Spiritomb variants. Hey Trent, thank you for the follow. Make sure you're voting. It's up at the tippity top of the chat. All it takes is a click, and you vote and tell me your opinion and share it with the world of YouTube. And, well, Twitch currently, but this will be on YouTube. Say hello to chat. Say hello to YouTube chat. I just got the entire sentence mixed up in my head. Thought it was Tomb Count. It is Tomb Count, but Doom Tomb worked with the rhyming. All it takes... It's at the top of the chat. All it takes is a click and a clack. Okay, tier 2. Yeah, I'm fine with putting it in tier 2. Okay. Unknown Hand. Does this deserve 3 or 4? Tell me if there's a... Like, the Slowpoke thing. Not the Slowpoke thing. Psyduck. It was played with Psyduck, right? Four. Alright, we'll start a poll. I'm seeing 3s and 4s. Unknown Hand with Psyduck. Monka. Yikes. I would have thought Tomb would be better this format. Although it trades favorably with things, it actually kind of doesn't because HP's just got so high. Oh, by the way, if you're a sub and you weren't here the other day, we have a new emote. Monkaweeze in the chat. Alright, we're getting tons of 4s. Make sure you're voting. What's the Naga Mr. Rhyme in tier 3? Go to Dax PTCG on Twitter for the list. Danny Altavia made it. It's Checkmate Mad Party. Yo, Lucas, I love the Snorlax with the sunglasses. Okay, yeah, tier 4. Scizor VMAX. I think tier 3, like, yeah, there's a reason to play it, but it's not very good. You could even play it with Lucametal. Has more potential post-row. Charizard VMAX. Do we put Charizard VMAX in tier 3? Charizard VMAX is bad because I don't have money. Okay, so I'm going to put all of these VMAXs into tier 3 because I think that's where they go. Stop me if I'm wrong. We're putting Rillaboom in tier 3. We're putting... Actually, wait, no, we have to stop here. So, Charizard's a little... Yeah, okay, let's ask ourselves this. Should you ever play Charizard over Centiskorch? That's the same thing for Cinderace. I think Cinderace has a little more argument in my video for building a deck for every VMAX. Okay, tell me your reason for playing Charizard over Centiskorch, and if it's because it's Charizard, you're getting timed out. Charizard can one-shot more easily. Alright, I don't want to get this wrong. How much damage does this thing do? What, 270? Oh, it does 300. Okay, so... Oh, turn 2, 300. Yeah, but how likely is that to actually happen? I guess it could happen, but you can do that with Senti, too. And you can also attack for 2 energy with Senti and accelerate energy. Okay, we'll take it to the poll. I think there's never a reason to play that instead of Centiskorch. Like, if you want to play Charizard, it's like, here, you can have these Charizards that are $95 cheaper and they're better. But let's see. Zard VMAX, 3 or 4. Go for it, you got 60 seconds to vote. You can't cape Charizards. Toughness cape only works on basic Pokemon. Oh my god, Gassy. 3 because it's not that bad, but Senti still better. Alright, chat, you know what, I'm ending this vote. We're ending the poll. We're putting it in 3 because chat is off their rocker. I'm sorry that we put Charizard VMAX in tier 3. I'm gonna have to defend myself against all of Twitter for this. So if Charizard's 3, then Cinderace is definitely 3. Toxtricity. I'm putting Toxtricity in tier 3. Yeah, I'm going to need treatment after this. I forgot how mentally taxing the last tier list stream was. I was not prepared for this. I'm putting Toxtricity in 3. Let me know if anybody has an argument for it to be in 2. I'm gonna get more water. Give me an argument for... Damn it, Slapjacks. Give me an argument for Toxtricity if you have it. Alright, nobody cares about Toxtricity, so it's staying there. Random checkmate stuff I'm putting in tier 3. Can I... Okay, we're putting Malamar VMAX in tier 3. Does Sandaconda make it into tier 3? D-Murdoch, I think Gallerian Slowbro might give Tox tier 2 potential in post-row, but I don't think in pre-rotation you ever play it over Pika. Alright, we got a poll on our hands for the old Sandaconda. Sandaconda. 3 or 4. I feel like I'm an eye doctor. 1, or 2? 2 or 3? Rose Miss Magia's Mally VMAX is promising. I think it's promising in a tier 3 kind of way. Alright, Sandaconda's getting some tier 3s. If you are passionate about this, make sure you're voting. Unless you're overly passionate, because then you're going to put it in tier 3, and I don't want that. Actually, I think there's a reason to put it in 3. It may have one very good matchup. It has consistency issues. It has a lack of speed, poor matchup spreads, unrefined. Yeah, I think it's tier 3, actually. Qualifications for tier 4. Exclamation tiers if you want to have this up all the time on your device. But tier 4 decks, if you can't answer why would you play this over and above deck, it's tier 4. These decks can win games, but don't have many matchups, if any, that they are expected to win. An example was Phalanx. Okay, chat says that it's 3. I guess we'll put this in 3, but I don't like it. Or maybe I like it. It's more of a 3.5 kind of deck, if I'm being honest. This is Combo Zacian. So the reason behind that is it's just not on the same level as the other tier 1s, and chat agreed with that. So Combo Zacian is a step below things like Eternatus, VMAX, and ADP Z and Baby Blounds, but it's still pretty good. There's higher HP in the format now, which gives Combo Zacian a bit of an issue. Welder Box. So, like, I know Mahone posted, like, a Heatran GX deck, but I think that was post-row. Yeah, let's talk about Welder Box. Welder Box is hard to rate. Alright, let's open up this poll. Welder Box. Welder Box doesn't hit the numbers anymore. I agree with that. Funny, I actually thought more people were going to say tier 3. I'm surprised so many people are happy to put it up higher. Oh, right. Okay, so yeah, it hits that number with Heatran, but then you can't hit it again because it's your GX attack. Like, you can also do that with Centiskorch. But I guess with Centiskorch, that means you're not playing, like, I don't know, the Ninetales line. Yeah, looks like we're going to put it in tier 2. I'm going to put it towards the bottom. Mewtwo Welder. Can I put Mewtwo Welder in tier 3? I feel like we have no reason to play this. Well, I shouldn't say no reason. It's not a tier 4 deck, but it's not anywhere near as good as it was, like, recently. Okay, tier 3. Galaxy / Ultimate Mewtwo / all non... Like, you know the kinds. The Henry brand Mewtwo's. Tier 2 for Pog, then it dies. It's either 2 or 3. Wait, do I have one for the same? I know I have different ones. I have Galaxy and Ultimate I have different pictures for, because Coop suggested that I do that. Galaxy Mew 3. 2 or 3. Okay, so poll in the chat for Galaxy. Is there any deck that just straight up is good now but completely terrible after rotation? I talked about that in my video post-rotation deck guide. I started that video off actually with the decks that are just like absolutely poopy or non-existent after rotation. Alright, tier 3. I'm just gonna put Ultimate and Galaxy in tier 3. Ultimate is better? Wait, why is Ultimate so much better than Galaxy? Alright, let's take a vote on Ultimate then. What's Galaxy Mewtwo? I have a YouTube video on it. I can link it in a second. Yeah, don't forget to vote. That's how we get these results. Alright, Ultimate Mew 3, tier 2 or tier 3, make sure you vote. And I'm gonna grab the link for Galaxy Mewtwo. Here's the link for Galaxy Mewtwo for anyone who needed to know, or who asked about it. Ultimate Mew 3 is pretty tight between 2 and 3. So I think I'll end up putting it towards the top of tier 3. Oh wow, it was a perfect 50-50 split in the poll. I'm gonna put it I'm gonna put it up here. Bolton.deck I feel like is like high tier 3. Mewtwo Malamar is like high tier 3, even if people are hype about it because it top 16 the Sunday Open and top 16 the Pokédex. I still think it's like here. Lapras VMAX is tier 3, and Sableye is probably like somewhere in the higher tier 3. Yo, what's up, Polar Bear? Is there a list from you, Mally? There probably is, either in the open Discord, or if there isn't yet, then there will be. Or from the Pokédex tournament. Sableye tier 2. I like Sableye. I think it has potential, but I'm not sure if I could. I can't put it with like combo Zacian and Centiskorch. There's no way. I like it though, but I can't put it with these decks. Sableye with what? With anything. Roxy, Obstagoon, Arctozolt. Just Sableye variants in general. This is current format. Yeah. This is for the Atlas Pog 2020 tournament. You can still sign up. It's free. There's like $3,000 in the prize pool. Players from all over the world, literally all over the world, are playing in it. So yeah. I guess we can order this a little bit. I think Sleepy Vika is better than regular Vika, and I think Control's better than regular Vika. Azul thinks Eternatus is dog. I mean, Eternatus, the way compared to the hype it got, it is. It's a good deck, it's just not, like, change. It's not like broken busted. You have to play Eternatus. Mad Party tier 3, yeah. Okay, let's see. So, Trainer says, based on the definitions, Obstagoon variant should be tier 2. Heard Reshiram is a deck again? That's not true. Yeah, so I kind of want to put regular Vika at the top of tier 2. Will we have a revolt for that? Like, it's hard to decide. Charizard VMAX trash. It's, like, not very good. Oh, I mean, if you do decide to join D Murdoch, like, it's all for fun. It's free to enter. Senti tier 1. So, I am going to publish this tier list so you all can make your own tier lists and share them with me in the Discord and Twitter and everything if you want. Weezing's feeling pretty good for Pog. That's like so rogue, like, chat would definitely put it on 4. Like, I'm not putting things that have, like, no play at all on the list or, like, weren't requested. But Gallerian Weezing, like, I think it could be teched and things. Regular Vika tier 1, Senti tier 1. So here's what I will say. I know people don't want a tier 1.5. I know people don't want a tier 1.5. But I feel like there's a disconnect in the tier 2 a bit. Like, I would like to put straight Vika. I would like to put straight Vika, Combo Zosh, Centiskorch. Maybe not. I think I just kind of want straight Vika down here. What we could do is take this out. How do we take this out? Can we not take this out? Oh. Okay, I guess we can't take it out. Because I was going to say we could take this out and just put all Vika variants in general in tier 1. Oh, damage spread Weezing, you can't play that anymore because there's VMAXs in the format now. Salamence is that bad for pre-rotation? Yeah. I don't think you should play Salamence in pre-rotation. I think this is pretty good. Yo, what's up, PJ? Damage spread Weezing with Sableye and Yveltal. No, just play Roxy. Just play Roxy Blow Away Bomb. Okay, so 3 is unordered. I want to order 1 and 2, though. So, ADPZ is going to be number 1 here. Between Baby Blounds, what do we think the next deck is here in tier 1? Then Vika, then Blounce, then Control. Okay, personally, I'm putting this Vika down here. I think I like this. Honestly, I'm personally not a huge fan of Eternatus, but I'm fine with putting it here. Well, it's in the bottom half of Tier 1. It has a favorable matchup versus the other two top decks here, and not Vika. And then it has a favorable matchup versus Centiskorch, and versus Pikarom, and versus Melmetal, and versus Eternatus. So, like, if you just keep going down the line, Baby Blounce has more positive matchups than unfavorable. So now Tier 2, I also want to order it. In the Discord, Polar Bear, exclamation Discord. There's been a couple shared in there. Okay, so what do we think the top deck of Tier 2 should be? Senti. I think it's one of these four. I think it should be Pika, Draga, Senti, or Zacian in the top. Senti, Pika, Draga, Zacian. So this... Wait, no. Senti, Pika, Draga, Zacian. I can get behind this. Because I think Centiskorch was the one that people wanted in Tier 1 the most. Pika can beat Eternatus. Just play Wait and See Hammer and Jirachis. Play like 2 Jirachi Wait and See Hammer. Mill is probably... I think I would have Mill higher than Eternatus. I definitely want Welder at the bottom of Tier 2. I wouldn't say Pika Hammers, but like a Wait and See Hammer is probably a good idea. If you don't want to just have a poor Eternatus matchup. Like if you want to put that one slot that's going to work against a lot of decks that are going first, then it might be worth. It's been something that's played before. Also, Wondrous Labyrinth. Wondrous Labyrinth is really, really good versus Eternatus in Peak. Eternatus and Eternatus Dark Box. This is just Eternatus with Weavile GX to circumvent Crushing Hammers, and then whatever else people are throwing in there, but basically it's based off of, oh, that's Centiskorch. That's the wrong Eternatus. This one, something like this. So... you play the Darkrai Prism, and they play the Devo Spray Z. Yeah, that. Doesn't Eternatus want to go second? Do you think Eternatus gets much better post-rotation? No, I don't, personally. Okay, so I mostly like the ordering of this. The new Machamp Tier 1 list everyone's talking about? Shh, don't talk about that one, Andre. That's on the low. Okay, I think this is correct. Yo, what's up, Sonny? I think we have a tier list now. I believe we have a tier list. Why is the 3 just... Okay. There we go. Char isn't better than Kartana. I agree with that. Alright, I'm throwing Charizard in tier 4. Sorry, everybody. Where's Torkoal? Torkoal can be Welder if you really believe. Yeah, Torkoal's Charizard's tier 4. Sorry about that. Where's Greenzard? It got top 16 at Pokédex. Rogue. It's a Rogue. It doesn't... I'm not putting it on here. It's Welder. It's Welder right here.